Hello, 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 and welcome to The Difference Makers. I'm your host, Jacqueline Grant, and this is The Difference Makers, where you get to see people who are making a difference in the world based on their natural gifts, talents, abilities, and how they're using them in the world to make a difference in the lives of others, primarily through entrepreneurship. We have a very special guest with us today. They are one part of a dynamic duo where they are making a difference in the world, and they are here to share with us their journey of how they've come to have a faith-based business based on their gifts, their talents, their abilities. That's what it's really all about. Taking what's naturally inside of you, bringing it out, and sharing it with the world as your gift to the world. A gift is not a gift until it's given. So I would like to bring to the virtual stage our guest for today, Dana Hagstrom. Now let me give her a proper introduction, and I'll share with you that it's all about the second career. Many of you here are on your second or third careers. Second career Christian coaches and affiliate marketers hire David and Dana Hagstrom to help them build a profitable business online. To do this, David and Dana have designed and perfected your pathway to profit, an all-inclusive, step-by-step process that alleviates overwhelm so that you can build a profitable online business that will ultimately leave a legacy for your loved ones. The Hagstroms retired from their respective careers as a pastor and a paralegal and are now living the life, living the dream in Mexico. In addition to working one-on-one with their private coaching clients and consistently delivering relevant content and value to their community, David and Dana are both published authors and speakers. They will show you how to thrive with ease while honoring God in your business. So I would like to welcome to the virtual stage, Dana Hagstrom.
Wow. Thank you so much, Jacqueline. That was such a warm welcome. And, sometimes I have to pinch myself and say, oh my gosh, she's talking about me, because that life sounds so amazing.
And I'm sure it is. So tell us about that amazing life. How did you come to be where you are now, do what you do now, and of course, love what you do now, based on your early part of your careers? Now, again, you're part of a dynamic duo. Tell us about you and your husband, David, and how you all started off in your original careers and how you're making a difference in the lives of people today.
Wow. That's a big packed question. But David and I, David, like you said, was a pastor and I was a paralegal. We were living in Iowa in the Midwest. We were, God called us to this small little congregation, and David's gifts, you're talking about gifts earlier, were strategic planning, and he'd worked on large staffs. He'd coached staffs. He'd handled building projects for 3 different churches over the years. And now we find ourselves, in this tiny little church where, we're asking God, why are we here? And one day he comes to me and said he'd been crunching our retirement numbers and figured we'd have to stay there for another 6 or 8 years, or we could retire this year to Mexico. Well, I'm like, I knew the frustrations. I knew the congregation was struggling and all of that. And so without even really thinking, I think that was divine intervention or something, but I said, let's do it. So,
Now,
the end of the story, we're here.
The question that's in everyone's mind is, have you ever been to Mexico prior to that point?
We had.
Okay.
We hadn't been where we've actually moved, but we'd been to Mexico, and we have a lot of Hispanic friends in the United States we'd gotten close to over the years, and they'd invited us to come, to their home in Jalisco, which is the state we chose as well. But yeah, it wasn't an unknown at all. And so what we began to do our due diligence, did our research. David, he's a spreadsheet guy. So he had a spreadsheet of all the things that we needed to figure out. And we put those things in motion. But I think the number one thing was we just got on our knees and made sure it was where God wanted us to be and what was his plan for us next. One chapter's closing, another one's opening. And so there was a flurry of activity that next year. Becoming an expat is not just something you waltz into. And, that's a whole nother conversation, a whole nother day.
Okay.
But, we woke up our first morning once we were all here and said, well, what's next? And so God has been unfolding that ever since. And we've been dabbling in home business entrepreneurship for years alongside the ministry, because, they just don't pay pastors all that great, unfortunately. And plus I had some extra time on my hands. And so we had an idea, but we invested in coaching. We took some courses. We went to events, gave us an excuse to travel back to the United States and see our kids and that sort of thing. And let God just sort of use the gifts and skills that we had from careers and build a business. And then kind of from there, our coaches said, you should be coaching. So we did. We were coachable, we listened, but we certainly never felt like we were ready. But you're always that step ahead of someone that's just getting started. And we've made plenty of mistakes and taken many wrong turns. And we've often said, our little path has been like this, just all over the place.
It's never a straight line.
It never is. It never is. But that's why we came up with Your Pathway to Profit, was to help people have a little bit more, a straighter line than they may otherwise have. So that's the whole purpose there.
Wow. Well, you mentioned about we made the journey. Who else made the journey with you? You mentioned children in the United States. So did they move originally with you?
No, they are all grown. In fact, they live in 4 different time zones. So when we were going to pick a retirement location anyway, we knew we had to be somewhere exotic or somewhere that was a destination. A little town in Iowa was not going to attract the kids to want to come home where they didn't have friends, they didn't have, things to do. So Mexico was a great solution there. And
wow. So what has it been like? What have you learned about yourselves since you've been in your new location?
We learn something every day. And I think that's the joy of it. When we were, working full time and juggling all sorts of things, being a pastor's wife is a very lonely but busy job. But I had very little time for myself. And so having that and having the freedom to set a schedule, we have both learned a whole lot. We have both grown as a couple. And that's been delightful. So many couples, separate, or not physically separate, but they drift apart over the years. And it's been a beautiful reconnection for both of us to have something that we're passionate about, that we're gifted to do, and that we're doing together. So we're always learning. We're always wanting to be a better version of ourselves, because that's what we expect of our students too.
So you mentioned about passion. How did you bring your passion into your business and bring your business into your passion?
It's all God. It really is. Because, our coaches were getting us to think, well, what is your gold mine? What is your superpower? What is it that will help you stand out? And so that's something we also help, our students and our clients think through, because when you're in line, when you're doing what lights you up, you don't feel like you're working. It's just so much fun. So, there was just a lot of prayer time, a lot of introspect. What is it that, people may have been telling me my whole life I'm good at, that I just thought everybody was good at it, and those sorts of things. And so that's how I would answer that. I think just introspection and prayer, and asking God to reveal to me and to us, how we can serve.
So tell us a little bit about who you serve, aside from God, of course, but your clients, your students. Tell us about who you like to work with, who likes to work with you.
Okay. When we first got started, we were really focusing on solopreneurs, people that were trying to build a business online.
Mhm.
And, that's a huge market. And we teach and we've been taught, to kind of niche that down.
Yeah.
And so we took an inventory of the people that were actually coming to us. And it was people that were Christian. It was people that were on their second careers or looking for an option to leave their career, and affiliate marketers as well. People that maybe hadn't really, stepped into their own leadership or expertise to be a coach yet, but certainly everybody's got something that they could monetize, that gold mine inside. So those are the folks that were attracted to us. So now we're making a huge shift in our marketing to just make a statement that we are boldly going to, help Christian coaches and affiliate marketers build a business online.
Awesome. That is wonderful. And I know that we serve a similar audience in that I am one who also loves to empower people to identify their natural gifts, talents, and abilities, and to earn a living in those gifts so that the passion that has been in you for a period of time and has never gone away. That's a story that I told on your podcast just a few days ago, where if it's something that has been with you for a long period of time, it's never gone away, it's been an interest, a goal of yours, but you've never really taken action, that is likely part of your passion and part of your purpose because it has never gone away. It's even if you've been interested in a variety of different things, that one thing is always there, and other people identify it as well. They see it in you. It's not just one person, it's not just two people, but throughout your life or your career, people have noticed that same thing, and you can make it what you want it to be if you just have the right coaching to be able to do that. Because I believe the seeds of greatness that are in you from when you're born, and they're there for a purpose, but your job is to water those seeds of greatness and let them grow. So how do you let the seeds of greatness grow in your students? What could you give us maybe an example of working with you? What would be maybe the starting point? When someone comes to you, do you have a conversation with them, a meeting? Do they just enroll in a course? What is that initial interaction?
Well, we have a discovery call, certainly. We want to, first find out if there's, synergy between us, because we don't work with just, everybody. Not everybody wants to work with us. We want to make sure there's that connection. But we have a series of questions. David, and, with his strategy mind, he has come up with a series of questions that we can ask. And they bring out different answers, of course, in everybody. But our purpose is to see not only where they are maybe in their business building journey, what they've tried in the past, but also what are their dreams for the future. And a lot of people haven't even thought past tomorrow, which was something we found. So, but when we work with folks one-on-one, and that's our favorite, is we can really dig in and really figure out what will work best for them. And a lot of times, like you said, we're able to see something in them that they don't see in themselves. Like when our coach said, "You're ready," it's like the mama bird pushing that baby bird out of the nest. You're ready. So that's what's super, super exciting for me personally, is to watch somebody have those aha moments and actually step into the purpose God created them to be.
So when you work with your clients, do you ever hear from them where you need to coach them through expressing their Christianity, expressing that as a part of their value add that they bring to their clients? Do you ever have those types of conversations?
I would say up to this point, not.
Mm-hmm.
The people we've worked with up to this point either are confident in where they are there, or they're not bringing their faith into their business as much as they, they're not they're bringing their faith into their business. Let's just leave it there.
Okay. So this is the question I'm asking on behalf of the audience, because I'm
Yes.
sure there are those who are wondering, they're questioning, how do I be real, transparent who I am, when that may not always be politically correct, when that might not always be what my audience may want to hear, whereas there may be a portion of the audience that does want to hear that. So how do you encourage people to stand their ground, whatever their decision is, and stand in that and move forward?
That's a great question. And it is something that you have to know and feel inside. And if they are choosing to take a stand for their faith and are maybe afraid of what the backlash might be, that's different than if they're already serving their niche. But in that case, it is a scary thing. But you have to decide who's more important.
Mm-hmm.
And and who you're serving,
Mm-hmm.
and who is blessing you. And when you can just keep your eye on the real thing, on the important thing, who is steering your ship, so to speak, it makes it so much easier. But yes, it is a risk, but God will bless that. And that's what we found, is that God will bless that when we listen to his voice, and I can remember, and almost audible, when he said, "You are going to write for me," because one of my dreams and passions had always been to be an author. And I think you mentioned that in our introduction. Mm-hmm. I wanted to write books. And as a child and as a teenager, I was writing my head off. I never sent anything to a publisher, with the exception of one thing to a magazine, which got published. But when he said, "You're going to write for me," I'm like, well, what does that mean? And so now I have 4 published devotional books, and I write a devotional blog every day. Mm-hmm. That my writing, my skills, I'm giving to God, and he asked me to do that, and it's with joy that I do that. So I want to help other people figure out, what is God calling them to do, mm-hmm. and then do it. Don't be afraid. He will give you everything. Look at all the examples in the Bible. Mm-hmm. Gideon, for example, I'm walking through Judges right now. He's like, "I'm just a farmer. I'm not a warrior. Why are you calling me, God? Are you sure?" So God,
are you sure? Yeah.
So God will empower you, mm-hmm. if you're not sure.
Very good. Thank you so much for that. I'm sure there are those who will take those words as wise pearls. What I'd like to do now is take Dana backstage for just a moment, and I'd love for you to answer this question when I bring you back. If you were starting a business or encouraging someone to start a business, and they've had an idea for some time, what would you say to them to get them on the right path if they've never been in business before? So that's the question. I'm going to take you backstage for just a moment, and we'll bring you back in just a moment. So hello, everybody. Again, this is The Difference Makers. I'm your host, Jacqueline Grant. We're on a little bit of a break right now, and we're talking about bringing your faith into your business and bringing your business into your faith. Some may say that's a controversial topic, but if it's making a difference, we want to talk about it here. So I'd love to have your comments. I'd love to have your questions. Please put them in the thread below or beside, whatever platform you might be watching us on. We're here on LinkedIn Live. We're on Facebook. We are on YouTube. We'd like to know your thoughts on this, because this is something that many people have questions about. Not only if I should do it, how I should do it, when should I do it, all of those things. So we want to be a source for you to be able to have solutions and answers. So please do feel free to engage. You can engage through the thread, or you can email us directly. You'll have my information as part of this thread. You can contact me, or you can contact our guest if you would like to contact her. She'll be giving her information shortly as we close out this segment of The Difference Makers. But we truly, truly want to make a difference in the lives of those who are watching. So please spread the word. Please share our program with others. And if you know of a difference maker who needs to be here, to give them a virtual platform in which to share what they do and how they're making a difference in the world, please share them with me so that I can bring them onto the show to share them with the world and with you. So let's bring our guest back, Dana Hagstrom. And Dana, please share with us your answer to the question of a new entrepreneur who is just starting out, never been in business before, and they're determining whether they are going to have a faith-based business or not. What would you say to them?
I would say pray. I mean, it's got to start with prayer. What is God putting on your heart? You know, we would have that conversation with them. We would encourage them to think about how God has gifted them. We would encourage them to think about what others have said to them in the past about, oh, you are so good at this.
Mm-hmm.
And we would do a discovery question, a discovery questionnaire with them. We would help them to see, what building a business is all about. Whether you do it God's way or what the world's doing, there are some differences. And so we would be able to kind of show them. That's what comes out in your pathway to profit is that exact, menu or steps by step that they need to.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. I hope that this has given food for thought for our audience to be able to really dig a little deeper, think a little bit more as far as what has been on your heart, in your mind, in your spirit, as far as entrepreneurship. Many in my audience are either entrepreneurs already or they are 9-to-5 corporate workers who are looking to shift full or part-time into entrepreneurship as an alternative to being able to prepare for retirement. Even if you have a 401k or other retirement plans, most people these days don't want to retire and then just do nothing. And what I have found with those I've worked with is the fact that in part of their plan, they always say, well, someday I'd like to do this, or someday I'm going to do that, or I'd really like to do this someday. And when is that someday? That someday is right now, because to get to that someday takes the planning and preparation now, not just financially, but in your own strategic plan as to what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, whom you're going to do it for, and how are you going to be the one to lead that idea, that thought, that plan, that process. So I thank you so much, Dana, for being here, representing the dynamic duo of David and Dana Hagstrom. And in closing, Dana, how can people get in contact with you if they would like to know more?
All right. Our website is our names, David and Dana, but with an N in the middle. So davidanddana.com. And you'll see a wealth of information there. There's a free gift there that you can grab. And that's the best way to get a hold of us.
So I'm going to put this in, and David and Dana, and what was
.com.
Straight into the point.
Yep, it's just that little N in the middle.
Alrighty, so let's show that to everyone. davidanddana.com. If you'd like more information, if you would like to have a strategy session with them, or just have any other questions just to move closer to your destiny, contact davidanddana.com and they'd be happy to help you. So with that, I'd like to again thank you so much, Dana, for being here with us. Thank you so much for being a part of the Difference Maker and making a difference in the lives of others, because you make a difference to me. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Jacqueline. It's been a delight.
Thank you so much.